What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode number 3. I already lost count and had to ask Nelson over here what number one. This is number 3 of the More Than Nothing podcast. My name is Miranda Alcaraz, and I am here to give you guys the dose of reality that both the fitness industry, which is where I come from, but also just people in general need to help reach their goals, ditch the excuses, and do more than nothing toward whatever it is you're working on. Today's episode comes from an idea that I had, a post that I did on my Instagram earlier this week that said that all of your problems, all of them, are your responsibility. Even the problems that are not necessarily your fault are still your responsibility and your responsibility only. So let's get into this. I did not necessarily come up with this idea on my own. I definitely resonated with it right away, but I had recently been reading a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a, Nelson, should I swear or should I bleep it out? An F word. I don't know if you guys care if I swear. Now I really sound like a mom. The book is by Mark Manson, and it was given to me as a gift for, not my birthday. Was it my birthday? I'm not sure. But I listened to it. At first, I did not like it at all, actually. I was like, this guy is telling me that I shouldn't care what people think, and I shouldn't care about this, and I should just live my life by the seat of my pants. He obviously is not a mom and doesn't have, the things in my life that I have. But as I got further and further into the book, I started enjoying it more and more. And the chapter where he talked about your problems being your responsibility 100%, even the stuff that is not your fault, hit me really hard, and I felt like it was definitely something that I wanted to talk about on my personal platforms, which is why I posted about it on Instagram, and I'm now talking to you guys about it right now. So what I want you to do is I want you to think of between 1 or 5 things, problems that you have in your life right now that you think to yourself, this is my problem, it's not my fault, there's nothing I can do. I'm going to give you some examples. I'm going to give you mine, okay? So a problem that I might have in my life that I've heard people use this same problem and say, there's nothing I can do, it's not my fault. This one is, I was not raised eating healthy food or with an active lifestyle. My family didn't grow up, and this is me, actually, really, in real life. I'm telling you this about my life right now. I did not grow up eating clean food. I did not grow up eating veggies at every meal or even every day. I was very much cereal for breakfast or nothing for breakfast, or on the weekends, pancakes with butter and syrup for breakfast. I was, from the time that I could remember, we definitely had, brown paper sack lunches, but they were like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And then in junior high and high school, it was like bagels with cream cheese and a cookie and soda or pizza or candy. And I was an active person then, but I knew nothing about nutrition. It was not something that my parents knew about. But I could definitely have used that excuse and could use that excuse still. And I hear people use it all the time of, it's not my fault. My parents didn't teach me how to eat properly. Now I have all these bad habits and it's not my fault. So there's number 1. That might get your brain kind of rolling a little bit. Number 2 thing that I wrote down that is not my fault was that I was in a car accident. I was hit by a car who ran a red light, T-boned, broke my neck, broke my hand. I still have issues from this accident to this day. I have shoulder pain and neck pain, and I have to have a pillow that I sleep with that's, a specific pillow, and my grip strength isn't very great. And you know what? A lot of people use that type of excuse or that type of situation to say, this happened to me, it's not my fault, but this is now why I can't do X, Y, and Z. And there's nothing I can do about it. Example number 3, I am a female, I am a woman trying to grow a business, specifically in the fitness industry. And for those of you ladies out there that know, trying to grow a business and be taken serious as a woman is very difficult. It is not our fault that it's like this. This is just kind of how it is right now, and it's changing and getting better. But I could just say, you know what? No one will listen to me. No one takes me serious. I'm a woman. It's not my fault. So those are my kind of 3 examples in my personal life of things that I could use as, I hate to use the word excuses all the time because they are real reasons and they are real issues or things that could make it harder for me, or if I let my brain go to a certain place, could make it impossible for me to be successful at changing my diet or changing my body composition or at continuing to be able to work out. So many people that are in an accident or have an injury that happens, that's it. That's the day that they stopped being active, and they'll allow those issues or the pain that they have associated with their issues keep them from reaching for their goals or continuing to try to do better. The woman in business thing, I could keep that from, or I could allow that to keep me from trying to be successful, and I could allow that to keep me from making this podcast. Actually, no one wants to listen to me. Like, who am I? Like, I'm just this, girl, and nobody wants to listen to a girl. And I know so many of you have thoughts like that. And what I want to talk about is, while those 3 issues or whatever issues you're thinking of in your head right now that are yours, your spouse left you, husband or wife, doesn't matter. They left you, completely blindsided you, ditched you, not your fault, and they've left you in this situation, and now you're in pain, and you might have, all these issues from that. Your job laid you off. Actually, they laid off the whole department that you worked for, not your fault. Now you don't have a job. You have these bills coming up, and you got to find a new job, and this completely wasn't your fault. What I want to talk about is even all of these problems that are not our fault are still our responsibility. And what I mean by that is that no one is coming to save us. No one else is going to teach me or change my nutrition habits for me. I had to learn that on my own. So I had to learn, and it took slowly, but I decided I want to live a healthier lifestyle. And so I had to take it upon myself to read books, to research, to try different things. And no one was going to do that for me. I could go my whole life and be like, oh yeah, I just wasn't really raised with it, and use that as a reason to never get better and shift the blame to my parents for not teaching me that. Or I can take responsibility for myself and do what I can do, learn what I can learn. And especially now, like, anything that you want to learn or anything that you need to know, there's so much information out there for you to find that and do that. It just takes time, and it takes you sifting through it. And it's going to take time for you to make those changes. And I always encourage you guys, that's the whole hashtag more than nothing, to pick one small thing at a time and make those changes. But no one's going to do that for you. No one did that for me. And my transition into eating healthier was not overnight. It wasn't like, oh, I read one book or one article and I knew everything that I needed to know and I was able to change everything so simply. My stages were like, okay, instead of eating the crappiest sugary cereals, now I'm eating like more like, it says whole grain on the box, so that's better. Maybe dairy, I found out that dairy doesn't really do well with my stomach because I read somewhere that maybe I should try taking it out. So, okay, now I don't really do a lot of dairy. And it's only been recently, and I mean recently, like in the last couple years, that I've consistently eaten vegetables every day. I'm 37 years old, and I've been working in fitness for 17 years, and it's only been the last few years that I've gotten that far. But it has been 100% up to me to learn it, make those changes, and stick with those changes. The car accident. Oh man, I talk about the car accident a lot because it really hits home with people. Because all of us, if you've gotten to 30 years old, you have some sort of physical ailment. I can almost guarantee it. Whether it's an injury from the sports that you played in high school, or it's just some issues from lack of fitness your whole life up to 30 years old. If you get to 30, you probably have some sort of physical ailment that you can use as a reason not to be active. I can almost hear all of you telling me all these reasons that are not your fault right now. So for the accident, this accident was not my fault, but the person who hit me, he's not going to come over to my house and ask me how he can help me get back to doing fitness. He's not going to massage my neck every single day and every night and take care of like the issues and help me do the mobility work that I need to do to feel good. He probably doesn't even honestly remember my name, or if he does, he probably, doesn't think of me too fondly the same way that I think of him, right? So I had a choice to make. How do I interpret this? How do I move forward from this? Or do I sit in it for the rest of my life? And so many people will have something kind of traumatic like that happen to them and will sit in it and talk about it and use that for the rest of their life. I decided, what can I do? And right away it was air squats and lunges, and then built from there. Still to this day, I have to make the decision every day. Am I going to do the mobility stuff that's necessary so that I feel good? So every single night I have to roll out with this like double lacrosse ball thing, my thoracic spine. So right in between my shoulder blades and my neck. If I don't do that, I have shoulder pain and neck pain when I'm trying to sleep, and then that compounds, and then I have shoulder pain and neck pain when I'm trying to work out. And so these things are all my responsibility. Not my fault at all that I'm in this situation, but 100% my responsibility to what I'm going to do about it and how I'm going to alter my life so that I can continue having the life that I want and move forward. The third one, the female in business. This one's probably honestly the hardest one for me because the other two are more physical. Like these are little things that I can do and I can change because they're just my problem. The woman in business thing is like a much bigger problem. It's not just mine. So many of us are in this kind of space together, but I can choose to join the group of people who are complaining about it, and I can post like about how men are the worst, or no one listens to me, or, you know, get kind of feisty about it and complain and be in this kind of negative space about it. Or I can do my very, very best to ignore it and do what I can do and spread the message that I can spread, and allow the people who do want to listen and who do want to respect what we're trying to do with street parking, and who don't allow. Quite honestly, if you're a guy and you only listen to other guys, you've lost 50% of people who can help you have a better life. And so you have 50% less people who can give you great messages and give you great advice and give you a great outlook on life. And so that's their problem. That's kind of like how I think of it. But it is tough because it's not always easy when you're a mom. And, you know, it's like, well, gosh, like literally I walked in here today wearing the same cardigan that I wear. Like you guys have seen it, the gold cardigan that I wear. And luckily I had another one in my car because I was like, I wear the same thing every single day because running this business and raising my child, like I just don't think about all these things. And men don't have those same types of problems that we do necessarily, where they're juggling so many things, not as often anyway. So you start to think like, I don't even have my life together. I've worn this cardigan 4 days in a row. Like who wants to listen to that? Like I'm just this mom, and this morning my kid was throwing up on me and I was late today and I forgot about this doctor's appointment, and I can't run a business. Like, who am I to do that? We got to change our perspective and choose, what can I do? How can I move forward? And for all of these things, it comes back to the whole point of this podcast with more than nothing. I could come in here today and be fired up about this topic and make Nelson come in here and film me and record me talking about it. And if I only impact 2 people, that's more than no one, right? So, and maybe those 2 people will take it forward. But me sitting over on the side and complaining and saying it's too hard and no one listens to me, that does nothing, and it keeps me in this kind of like negative space. So I want you guys to go back and think about those things that you were thinking that are not your fault. And I 100% can sympathize with you that we all have stuff that makes reaching our goals or being the person that we want to be so much harder because of circumstances in our life or things that other people have done to us, or taken from us or whatever. But we have to decide, how are we going to interpret this situation? What are we going to do about it? Or what are we not going to do about it? And I want you guys to start thinking of that anytime you have something come up, because the sooner we can take responsibility, the more power you have. So when I give the power to somebody else, when I say it's the person who hit me's fault that I have all these problems and I can't do anything about it, I have zero power in that situation. I have zero control over basically with that, my physical body. I gave that power to the guy who hit me 7 years ago, and he still has it. And I'm still allowing him and that situation to impact who I am and who I'm going to be today. Going back to your job laid you off, and now you have no job, and instead of going and looking for a new job, and updating your resume or building something on your own, you're going to stand outside of that old job and complain and picket and make phone calls to try to, get somebody else fired, or that's a waste of your time. In my opinion, take responsibility for you and move forward and go on to the next phase. Don't allow those people to still have such a strong hold on you and ruin the next 6 months or a year of your life and give them all of the power. That you got to take responsibility, which actually gives you 100% of the power. Now, this is not easy. If you have a situation like the one that I mentioned before, your spouse left you, that's really painful, especially if you have kids. And I can't imagine being in that situation when you have children. So I'm not saying like, oh yeah, overnight you're going to be like, yeah, screw that guy or girl and I'm going to go do me. And it's not like, a Jennifer Lopez movie. I just watched a Jennifer Lopez movie yesterday, by the way. Don't judge me. But it's not a fairy tale like that, right? It's not an overnight thing. But what can I do today to get myself in a better situation? I mean, I've had some really shitty stuff happen in relationships, and I know the zone that we can go into, and you realize I've been in sweats for the last 3 days. So more than nothing to start taking control of that situation is I'm going to get out of the sweats today, and I'm going to make myself feel better about myself and start to build some confidence. How else we can take control? When you're ready to start dating again or something like that, pay attention a little bit closer to some warning signs. Write a list of things that you're not willing to put up with, or things that you're specifically looking for, and stick to those things so that you can have a better outcome next time. Learn from whatever situation you're in. Allow yourself to feel it, but also know when it's time to start making steps toward making it better, even small little things. Now, the hardest problems, and this one's going to be way worse for all of us to think about than the problems that are not our fault, because it's so great to be able to blame someone else. It's so great. Let's think of some problems that actually 100% are your fault. So we all have plenty of those. Many people have a hard time admitting that any of their problems are their fault. They're really good at shifting blame on, other people, their child, their dog, their boss, their friend, their parents, their whatever. So I'm going to give you, again, some examples of problems that are actually 100% my fault that I have this problem, and what I'm going to do about it. These are 2 current problems that I have right now. So the last 3 that I gave you are things that I've kind of worked on and gotten past. These 2 are current for me. My first problem, probably something that plagues me almost more than anything else, is that I am in a relationship with someone as a woman he is 7 years younger than me. So Julian and I met. He looks older than he is because he's got this burly beard, okay? And he's very mature sometimes. He's had a lot of life experience, I guess you could say. I don't know if mature is the word that I would use. So I assumed that he was around my age, and he thought the same thing. Thank goodness he thought I was younger than I was. Thank you. At least he says he did. So when we both found out that he was 7 years younger than me, I was not super stoked about it, to be honest. He didn't care. He had already been on a path of dating women that were older than him, even older than me. So he could care less. But I was as the woman, you're okay, let me just do some math here. So when I'm 40, he's 33. Okay, that doesn't sound great, but it's not that bad. What about when I'm almost 50 years old and he's turning 40, which, let's be honest, that's when guys are the hottest. And I'm it's very uncomfortable for me, also because he's so dang good looking, right? So this is something, honestly, I think about it every day still. And we've been together for almost 4 years now. This situation is 100% my fault. I chose to be in a relationship with somebody who I have to overcome this issue. I didn't have to be in a relationship with Julian. I could have bounced out of that situation the moment that I found out that he was that much younger than me. I could have realized this is not going to be good. This is going to cause me stress and anxiety. As a woman, I'm going to constantly feel the pressure to keep up with women that are his age and younger. And this is going to be too rough for me. But no, I didn't choose when I was born and when he was born, but I definitely chose to be part of this situation. So things that I have done and will keep doing to improve this are obviously we communicate about it a lot. I talk to him about it a lot. I ask for reassurance from him about it a lot, but we've gone to couples therapy about it. I've gone to therapy on my own about it and other things too. That's not our only thing that we talk about. But it's also just building confidence in myself, because ultimately it's not Julian or his age that's doing anything that's causing me this issue. It's my own lack of confidence in aging, which all women have, I think, and in relationships, because I've been through a couple already that didn't end the way that was initially the plan. And so I've got to work on myself and take steps within myself to build confidence so that I feel more that this relationship fits and that I can relax, which is not something I've been able to 100% find yet. But I do take full responsibility that I chose this. And that's the important thing. So I can't tell you how I'm going to get out of it because I'm still working on that. But I can tell you that I do realize that it was my choice, and it is my choice how I'm going to interpret it, or if I'm just going to live in it. And I definitely don't want to live in it, and I'm actively going to work on this issue. The other one that's 100% my fault, and this is more of like a day-to-day, maybe you guys can relate to, is every morning I am so stressed out. Like within moments of when I wake up in the morning, I am anxious about my whole day, about this business, about my child, and it is 100% my fault. It's not 100% my fault that I opened that so many people emailed me while I was asleep at night. It's not my fault that I got all these text messages. It is my fault that I check that thing before I just go have my coffee and my breakfast. I do it to myself every single day. It's my fault that I'm having these crazy, stressed out, anxious mornings, because all of us, we just grab our phone and we're like, oh, let me just see if I got any new emails. And then it's like, oh, the website's broken, or whatever before breakfast. And now I've just like stressed myself out for the whole day. I need to take the steps to not do that. And this one is super simple. But as I was preparing the podcast yesterday, it's just something that we all cause these little issues for ourselves. And I could be like, oh my gosh, like it's everyone's fault. Like I get all these emails and these people stress me out, or these people sent me this message that stressed me out, or this person commented something mean on my Instagram. I chose to look at it. I chose to take it personal. I chose the time of day that I was going to allow it to come into my brain and into my life. And so therefore, this is my fault, and it's my responsibility to change that schedule that I'm on. And so I'll let you guys know the update on me working that. Some days I'm really good about it, and then some days it's just like second nature. It's so bad. We just grab our phones and look at it. So I want you guys, after listening to the podcast, to write down the problems, the little ones and like the major, like deep ones. You don't have to share these with anybody, but you can assign fault to somebody else. Write down the problem, whose fault it is that you have this problem in your life, but then I literally think you should write down next to it, this is my responsibility. This problem is my responsibility, and start this path of doing more than nothing, not an overhaul overnight. You guys know I'm never going to tell you to overhaul anything overnight, but just something that you can do today or this week to start to move toward taking responsibility and taking control for these problems that you have in your life. You get to choose how you interpret, you get to choose how you react, and you get to choose how you feel about these problems. If we can switch our mind to thinking like, this is really bad and really shitty, but I am in control, it immediately gives us a little bit of a sense of calm. This is why most people say that their most painful or difficult experiences that they've had in their life, that car accident was definitely one of the most difficult experiences that I've had. My divorce from my previous marriage was definitely one of the most painful and difficult experiences that I've had in my life. Those experiences, when you are in control and you choose to move forward and learn from them, that's why you hear like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that really crappy thing happened to me because it changed who I am as a person and it made me a better person. You hear that side. Or you hear, oh, well, I used to be happy and I used to be this and I used to be that, but then this person took it from me, and now for the rest of my life, I'm going to talk about it and complain about it and let it steal my joy and my success and all of that for the rest of my entire life. We're not going to do that. Our problems, even the ones that are not our fault, are our responsibility, You guys can do this. Go get after it. If you guys do some posts or anything about this, put it in your story or want to share some of your problems that you're taking responsibility for, please use the hashtag more than nothing. Tag me on Instagram. Send me a DM. I want to hear about it. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.